to touch on today is, and this presentation is about your presentation and final project, kind of how it's coming all together, and what are my expectations for the final presentation. There's a lot. So I really recommend as a group you kind of take some notes as to some of the things that I'm going to talk about here for this final project and presentation. First of all, be sure that all of your clients have a calendar invitation set. And since we'll be delivering these virtually for the first time, be sure to have working technology that you can use. Zoom provides a free license if someone in the group doesn't already. GoToMeeting, Skype probably even works. You want to have some software. I don't know about Google Hangouts in terms of showing screens or how my experience has been less than quality there, but you're going to want to have the ability to show the presentation on your screen, as everybody might quite possibly be remote. I don't expect the whole group to be together. You can do that, I think, still. I think we can still have groups up to 10. I did notice in one country, Australia said today no more than groups of 2. So I guess I'd have to get rid of all my kids. But, anyway, so, we got to work that out. We'll figure it out. But plan on a technology that we can share and kind of collaborate on in the final presentation. Once you have that time agreed upon with your clients, be sure that they and I get a calendar invite email to make sure it's on our calendars. In the past, I've been able to just put one presentation right on top of the other, and we're able to get out of there at 8 o'clock at night on those nights. I'm a little bit worried about technology, so I've added a little bit more buffer for the presentations. But my expectation is that your presentation from start to finish will only go from 25 to 30 minutes with a maximum of 10 minutes of Q&A after. So we're looking at holding all of these presentations to about 40 minutes. Add in 10 minutes plus or minus for technology issues, we should still be fine. So plan as a group for 25 to 30 minutes. Most of the time, that means that you have planned as a group and practice. Normally getting down to 25 to 30 minutes is more of the challenge than filling the space with 25 to 30 minutes. Everybody in the group has to present, has to have a part. I don't care how you decide to do that or how you break that up, that's up to you, but everybody has to be there and has to be a part of it. That means if you think about it, then each person has roughly 5 minutes. Now you could have somebody come on at the beginning and the end. I don't care how you do that, but if you break it up into just about 5 minutes each, that 5 minutes can go really fast. Two or three slides and your time is going to be up. So it's going to be on you to really practice your presentation, have it down, have the key elements that I'm going to talk about in there as part of it. The next thing here, as you're seeing on my screen, is kind of all of the way that it comes together, the final points. So your presentation's 100 points. The fact that you actually did the work, got the work deliverables done is 200 points. And then some evaluations from the client and peers is 100 points. But this big red bold is extremely important. You need to make sure that with your clients, they're able to get all of your work, all of your collaboration, all of your designs, all of your content in the way that they want it. And I need to get it too. So you need to make sure that everything you've done this semester is delivered to your client in the way that, in the format that they want. Google Drive, Dropbox, zip file, CD-ROM, USB, whatever it might be. Work that out with them that they're able to get all of your work and all of your assignments and everything that you've done. So that's a big part of this assignment, and making sure that I get it. However you want to get it to me, if it's the same way that you get it to your client, so be it, but just make sure that I have it as well. Now, in terms of the actual presentation itself, what am I looking for? Here's a little bit of what I want. First, I want to know what deliverables you set out to accomplish. I want you to show that to me quickly, and you can do that either up front or one at a time, however you decide. But I'm going to look at your deliverable set in your presentation. I'm going to look at the deliverables that we agreed upon, and we're going to say, yep, those are what we wanted to do. That's what we set out to do. That's what we agreed to do. And that's what we're going to get done. And then I'm going to evaluate you accordingly. I want you to spend some time, a lot of your time, on the content you created. This is your time as a group to prove to me that you worked your butts off this semester. Okay, that you got stuff done, it took time, you exceeded expectations, whatever it might be, but that you as a group created content. So how do you show that? Because I also do not want to see many words on your slides. I want your slides to be image heavy, word light, meaning I don't want any more than 16 words per slide at most. Preferably most slides have less than that. So if you've got a blog, say you were doing 4 blogs and or however many blogs you wrote, then what do you talk about? I don't want to see all your blogs other than be sure that it's there in case I ask you about them. But what I want to know is, why'd you write them? What did you talk about? How did you decide the content? What were the keywords? How is this content going to be valuable to the client? Highlight it, right? Maybe the best one you wrote, or the top keywords you feel the client's going to be successful for. Talk about it in that way. Talk about what you did. I don't necessarily need to see and read and show me the content. Have that content available, because if I don't feel like there's content there, I am going to ask you about it, and you need to show it to me. I'll show you an example here of a group before that did some work on this. Okay, so but your presentation needs to be content heavy. Prove to me you got a lot of work done for the clients this semester. Okay, so you can go through that with your deliverables. Be sure to practice your presentation. Typically, I talk a lot about not looking at the screen, not showing us your back, not saying a lot of ums. This is your final capstone presentation. Make yourself, make the university look good in front of the business community. Make this your best. I know with the virtual nature of it, it's a little bit different, but take some time to have practiced your content, to practice your transitions, to be able to deliver a quality product presentation to your client. Remember, number 1 rule in marketing, make it look good. So I want this to look good, feel good, be crisp, and rewarding for both you and the client. Now, when you're done, ideally, sometimes we have some interaction between the presentation. That can happen, but most of the time, me and the client wait till the end of the presentation to ask questions. Now, this is something I want to prepare you for. The client is usually pretty nice, pretty friendly, and this is a time where I put on my CEO hat to give you experience of what a real presentation looks like. I've been called a lot of names because of the role that I take in this experience, but I really believe you need to have this experience. And it's better to have this experience now than sitting in front of your boss and having a presentation that's done poorly. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to ask some hard questions. I am going to ask questions that might challenge your theories, might challenge your assumptions, might challenge the quality of work you did, might challenge why you didn't measure results in some areas. I'm going to be tough. You need to plan for it. You need to prepare for it. And I'm going to explain to you how to prepare for that now. A couple of potential questions that I might ask and how you might respond to them. So let me give you a couple of ideas. First of all, if I'm aware or I find out that you didn't complete all the deliverables to the level of expectation that we had, I might ask you about that. And the best answer you can give, if you know that the quality of work was not up to par, the best answer you can give is, you know what, Professor, we did not do all that we needed to do there, and we probably could have done more. And we admit that, right? Rather than trying to BS it, rather than trying to make excuses, right? Owning up to a failure is one of the best things you can do. I'll give you an example. It's not really in a presentation, but it's a good example. When I went on a cruise, and in the middle of my cruise, one of my employees was supposed to be the final say on a logo that we were putting on an order of jackets for our employees. It was a $26,000 order, and he approved the logo. I came back. we found out that we approved the wrong logo on the coats, but it was already done. We'd approved it, $26,000 mistake. I could have easily gone to the CEO and said, well, I was out of town, I was on a cruise, it wasn't my fault, it was my employee, but that's not what leadership's about. I went straight to the CEO and said, this was my fault. We did not have the level of checks and balances, and we made this mistake. And nowhere in there did I ever say it was my employee's fault, it was my team's fault, it was my fault, even though I was on a cruise and I wasn't there, and I owned up to it. I didn't lose my job, but the CEO said, be sure to make sure that this never happens again, right? So own up to mistakes if they're presented. Now, the other thing that might be asked by me is I might purposely or unintentionally ask you why you didn't do something else. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do more of this? And if it's outside the scope of your project, then a great answer to that is, hey, professor, that's a great idea. You know, that's probably something, looking in retrospect, we could have added in. But for this project, it was outside the scope of the project, and therefore we didn't do it. But that's a great idea going forward, okay? So preparing yourself so that you don't get asked something, well, why didn't you do this? And you say, well, I don't know why we didn't do that. No, you didn't do it because perhaps it wasn't in the scope of the project as it worked out through the semester. Now, also, okay, so just prepare yourselves for some challenging questions for an experience of being in front of a CEO who all CEOs believe they have to be the smartest person in the room. And I'm going to take on that role and challenge you a little bit. And I know that might be frustrating for some of you, but I want to prepare you now that that's what I'm going to do. I want you to understand and be prepared and get that experience of somebody challenging your work as it has happened my entire career. Now, something else prepare for is I want you a couple of other things. So I've asked for you to have your deliverables in your presentation. I asked you to have a high level of visibility of content, making it look good. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to provide recommendations, both recommendations that you would have the client do for their company, or the next steps, or how to kind of proceed forward as a company. What would you do for them for marketing for that company? I also, in addition to recommendations, I also want you to prepare for me an answer to this question, and maybe a slide that says, if this client was to engage in another project with UVU students, what would their deliverable set look like? So what's the next step that the students could take in aiding this client to move forward? Okay, that can be tied into your total recommendations, or that could be separate from just general recommendations. You guys decide how you play those in, but I want kind of both of those things in there. If you've got some bold recommendations for the client, I want to see them. I want to hear them. If I've talked about a client last semester that had 600,000 followers on Facebook, yet every post they had like 3 comments. And clearly their followers were not real, were bots, or not even relevant. And so we had to make a very strong recommendation clearly that, hey, this is not a good channel for your business. You're not going to make any money with these 600,000 fake followers. And we had to say it that blatantly and just say, look, and how did we defend that? Well, we showed them about 5 other accounts with similar followings, what kind of engagement they got. And they clearly weren't getting the engagement. And it wasn't just because their pictures didn't look good, because their pictures were fun. Okay. So you prepare for that as well on your presentation. Okay. So be prepared for practice your presentation. Normally a week before on the 9th, I have everybody come prepared with their presentation and showing me kind of an outline. I'm not expecting that, but you need to do that. You need to be, prepared about a week in advance with your presentation to go forward. Now let me just show you one of the projects we had, Alumatherapy. Okay, so final deliverables, final presentation, right? All of this is in there. Their actual content, so they were building social media posts. So you can see they've already done that. We're going to talk about these quotes, inspirations, quotes, special needs. This was exceeding expectations because George was a one-man team. The team not only prepared these posts, prepared an editorial calendar, but also prepared another 200 quotes that were ready to go, that progressing forward the client could use and not have to go find. They'd already find them, already prepared them for the client, which they didn't have to do, but that was already done. So just walking through quickly their final presentation, going through their different assessments. You can see their slides are clean. They can see, this was really good. Not only did they look at their viewers, but they showed them kind of the best time of day to post based on their audience. Okay, so using tools, right? Showing, hey, this is the keywords that are trending. So this is a Nuvi screenshot. So they're showing the tools that they used in the class. Love results. Okay, so this is probably their best slide altogether. Here before they started and when they got done. How many followers, how much frequency, how many followers, how much growth did they have in different channels, right? Well done, okay? 78% increase in engagements, 40% increase in engagements, 60% increase in engagement. Those are some great numbers for students doing projects, okay? Walking through their SEO, okay? Really, really good stuff. Social media, this is great. This is a great example here. This is what they were given. This was the Facebook page of Illuma. It had just the lorem ipsum, nothing in there. Then they took the content that was already built and the content that was on other places and put that in their Facebook. That's real content the team did for the client. Okay, same thing through multiple channels, right? Setting up their social media channels, making it look good, identifying which hashtags, content, right? Content's big. So they showed us, here's the content we created. Interesting thing that Illuma group had, one of the tough challenges they had, is they had two personas that were engaging in social media with the client. So they did a really good job between the two personas and developing content for who. So when they developed the editorial calendar, they talked about buyer personas. Who was that actual content targeted to of the two buyer personas that they had? Okay, so really clean, really good presentation, really well done. One of my favorites because a great success story. Ariel Lee right here was shortly after hired by the company and works for them now. So really neat how she was able to be the project manager of this group and then get a job with George there at Illuma. Okay, so there's just a quick idea of a clean, good presentation of the content. So when we asked, hey, well, do you have other social media or can you show us the other social media content? Well, sure we can. Let me just pull it up right now and here it is, right? So having that available, showing the work that you've done, giving the good solid recommendations, really important to a really good ending to a great semester with our clients. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'm a little flexible because this is going to be all done virtually, so I know things are going to be a little bit different for everyone. But just practice your transitions, practice what you're going to present. Give this a good strong effort because I have high expectations being your final presentation for digital marketing as to the work that you did this semester for these clients. And I look forward to success, to our clients being excited by the work that you've done. And let me know if you have any additional questions about that through Slack or email, whatever way you can get a hold of me. Talk to you soon. Bye.